Do you feel like if you're Guy Dupuis, I talked to him at the jersey auction. He said, I love this game. That's the motivation for if I do decide to come back. But what do you think is the thought process running through his head and the thought process running through the Frankies' head, knowing that they both have a decision to make?
Yeah, and the hard part is they both may not be in the same place. And if you're the Frankies, if you do not want Guy back, how do you handle that in the best way possible so that you're not insulting Guy or humiliating Guy? And what is the transition period for you as the owners? And if you're Guy, how do you take this? Do you take this personally? Do you take it as it's a business decision? Do you take it as, well, maybe they have my best interests at heart and they're telling me to look at this way? It's a really difficult situation.
In a nutshell, do you think Guy Dupuis will be back in a Komets jersey next year?
No, I don't think so. And I hope it works out that way for both of them, that that's what they decide they both want. I'm a big believer in it's better to go out too soon rather than too late type of thing. And I think Guy had a commendable year this year. And the way he made adjustments, at the start of the first half of the year, we thought he was going to lead the league in penalty minutes. I mean, he was just hooking and holding all over the place and getting caught, and he made the adjustments. And I thought that was really commendable and really showed the type of player and the person that he is, that he was willing to make some of those adjustments to his game. I also watched Rapid City, where it was definitely part of their game plan to attack his side of the ice. They dumped the puck. They would look and see where he was and dump the puck on his side because they wanted to go after him and bang on him and see if they could slow him down and take him out of the game. And I think that's something to consider too, that people are realizing that maybe there's an advantage they can get there too. Boy, with everything Guy has meant to the Komets too, it's an amazing career. I was going through the records last week with Chuck Bailey, and it is just astonishing the records that Guy was able to accumulate. I mean, it's just, and to do it with like a 6-year stretch in the middle where he wasn't here.
Right.
It's just, and I know it's in different leagues and different levels, but just the competitive consistency is remarkable.
And with PC, is his situation a little bit different because he does have a contract that runs through next year? Because in talking to him at the jersey auction, he said, I've got a year left. I want to play. It'll be my last year.
I think if that's the case, if he really wants to play, then the Komets need to sit down with PC and say, all right, this is what's going to happen. You have got to come into shape, into camp, in much better shape, maybe the best you have in a long, long time, because we are going to have a competitive camp. And and we're not guaranteeing, this contract is not guaranteed. You have to perform right from the start. And we're telling you now that if this doesn't work, we will be eliminating your position. Now, and you got to figure out how you want to handle that, and it's a gamble. And PC is a very, deservedly so, a very proud player. He's earned that right. But that's something they have to be as upfront with him as humanly possible about. This is what's expected, this is what's going to happen if the expectations are not met, all of that. And maybe if they decide they don't want him, they just need to say right now, contract or no contract, it's not a guaranteed contract if we don't want you. Now again, PC stepped it up in the playoffs. He was one of the leading scorers, just like last year, and he picked it up at the end of the season. That's the PC they need to come back at the start of next year.
Well, other players, who are some guys that you think, talking to some of the players, they're talking about, trying to get a shot in an AHL camp. Who are some guys that you think are going to try and maybe make a move up to jump up a little bit?
I don't think anybody's going to have any luck that way.
Really?
I just don't see it. I saw guys regress this year. if Caley can get healthy, I think he's the type of guy, because he's a specialist. He's a guy you can put on your third line in an AHL camp, and he would survive. AHL camps, they're not looking for the first line guys. They're looking for guys who can come in and do a little bit of everything and fill in on that third line or be the 10th forward. They're not looking for first or second line guys. They've got all those. And so who can make that work? Who can fill that role for them? Those are the guys that have a shot at it. I could see Artem Pachendlov getting a chance at a camp. I don't think he'd make it, but I think it would be a really good experience for him to get that opportunity. I could see Caley. I could see Michael Ratchuk getting another shot, that type of thing. But other than that, I don't see 4 or 5 guys working out that way like they did last year.
Roster-wise, what are some of the things that they're going to have to do this summer to, as I mentioned, speed and youth, big things in the CHL? Are they going to have to look different areas for players, or just be more cognizant that speed and youth are 2 characteristics that you need to survive in this league?
I think the first thing you do is I would not sign. I might sign a ton of guys, but I wouldn't have a camp like last year where you've got your 20 core key guys. Everybody knows who's making the team, and then you've got 6, 8 other guys who are we're going to give them a shot and see what happens. I might invite 45 guys to camp. I mean, let's really do this.
Make it a real training
Let's
camp.
really do this. Let's sign 10 guys maybe, and there's 10 spots open. What are you going to show me? I mean, let's really see. I would be very careful with those 10 guys. I would say Al Sims is, you get your 10 guys. You get the 10 guys you absolutely want, and that you're absolutely sure on, that you have no doubts on. Anybody you have a doubt on, they're a training camp invitee, if they're that, And I think you go younger, but you go bigger. I thought, if you looked at the Rapid City series, the biggest difference was Rapid City's size in front of the goals. Mm-hmm. They did a great job in front of the nets. Colt King, Les Rainey, Conrad Reeder. I mean, they scored 3 times as many goals as the Komets did in front of the nets. And that was because they paid the price to get there. I mean, they took the lumps and they just kept digging. And the Komets didn't do that.
A final question. You mentioned the name, Al Sims. What do you see? You see him back as the coach of the Komets next year? Because he's had success, and I'm not trying to push him out the door, but he has had a tenure here in Fort Wayne, been here a while. I don't know if he's looking to move on or not, but you might.
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to Al about that. Everything I've heard is that Al's planning on spending more time in Fort Wayne, doing a lot more recruiting this summer, and doing a lot more digging into the guys that he is considering bringing into Fort Wayne with David Franke, and pitching in that way some more, and doing some more of that. The one thing that it's so funny, I've told you this many times, how nobody wants to win more than David Franke. And some of the bloggers are like, "Oh, you're full of garbage," and I'm like, you saw that in the Rapid City series with the stuff he said about the league and that. Mm-hmm. That was just, I see that every day from him. He wants to win that badly. And if you go back through the history of the Franke ownership and you look at the year after they've had a bad year, they always come back strong. 95, 96, they brought in Torchetti. They had the Russian line. The year after they didn't make the playoffs in 2002 with the UHL, they won the cup the next year. I mean, they just live off that motivation and that hunger. And now that they've got this challenge and everybody's going to doubt them, oh boy, they're just, well, we'll show you. I mean, they just get their dander up. And they did that throughout the second half of the year, bringing in 10, 11 guys who all performed. And I mean, to them is a new challenge to them, and they're like, okay, fine, we're going to prove it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if David took a week off all summer and that was it. I mean, he'll just keep digging and digging until they get it done, and I think that Al will come back that strong too.
All right. It should be very interesting in this offseason. Like we said, big decisions to make personnel-wise, and certainly shall be interesting to see how the Frankies respond to not winning.
The thing that was really encouraging to me, and you saw this too at the season-ending party, a lot of those guys were really ticked. I mean, they were really mad that they were not playing, and it's like, guys, where was this passion, this drive in December when it really could have made a difference? I mean, where was this passion and drive when you guys were falling apart in the last 20 games? You know, I mean, I think they've got that rekindled, but I wonder if it's too late for some of them.
Well, we will see. We will see in October of 2011 when it comes around and we have training camp, and it seems like far away, but it always gets here really quick. Blake, appreciate all the time this season. It's been a pleasure. You forget more about the Komets than I know walking from the car to the entry door here at Wayne TV. So it's been a pleasure, and we appreciate it, and we'll see you back next season, hopefully.
We'll be here in Thanksgiving.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for logging on to Wayne.com.